Just imagine your nose saying, I don't want to be nose anymore. I want to be like the mouth. I like the way the mouth receives food. I mean, I'm tired of receiving air. Tired, I'm sick and tired. I want to also receive food. I don't want to be nose anymore. Let me start copying the mouth so that when people see me, they will think I'm the mouth. Let me start trying to be like the mouth, that I can also be receiving food. Good idea. As funny as this illustration is, that is what most of us do. I mean, I don't get the nose you want to be receiving food. Do you have the capacity to chew food? Do you have sensory nerves to be able to appreciate the taste of food? So do you have the capacity to bear hot tea or hot pepper soup or hot yam? Can you chew? Can you chew meat? So I definitely know that without the nose, I will not be able to breathe. And when I'm not able to breathe, I will definitely choke to death. At the same time, I also need my lips to feed. Without my lips, I will not be able to eat. Neither will I be able to drink. So I will definitely starve to death without my lips, without my mouth. So that means our body components need each other. I mean, the 7 trillion nerves that is in our body system need each other to function effectively. So every nerve, each of them need to perform their own role. They need to perform their own function effectively for the rest to also be able to function effectively. If one nerve is damaged, it affects the other nerves. So each nerve is important. Each nerve is VIP. Each nerve is needed. Each nerve is distinct and its functionality is different from every other nerve. So all the nerves need each other for the body to function effectively. No nerve should be comparing itself to another nerve. I like the way this nerve pumps blood. I also want to be pumping blood the way this nerve pumps blood. I mean, if that nerve begins to misbehave, it can even cause death. I mean, the person can die. I'm not a science person, but I hope what I'm saying makes some sense. And all the trillion nerves in a person is different from the 7 trillion nerves in another person. That is why everybody's thumbprint is different. Nobody's thumbprint can be the same as another person's thumbprint. So my 7 trillion nerves are different from your 7 trillion nerves. So the world's population is about 8 billion people. I mean, what is 8 billion people compared to 7 trillion nerves? The 8 billion people is more like an ant to the 7 trillion nerves, and the 7 trillion nerves is more like an elephant to the 8 billion people on earth. If these 7 trillion nerves can cooperate effectively amidst themselves, why do the 8 billion people compare themselves and wish to be like each other? We begin to copy each other. We do not appreciate our own distinct nature, our own distinct functions, our own distinct personalities, gifts, roles, callings. We try to meet up to someone's standard, society's standard. We then begin to make us behave in like manner because we are trying to meet up with the same standard. The way these 7 trillion nerves cooperate should serve as a lesson. It should serve as a pattern to the 8 billion people, the 8 billion human beings on earth. If the 8 billion people can consider how the 7 trillion nerves in each one of us behave and mind their own business, performing their own distinct roles and functions, not comparing themselves amidst and amongst themselves, trying to be like one another, I mean, the world will be a better place. We'll be able to appreciate each other and appreciate what we all bring to the table and enjoy and benefit from each other. That is why 2 Corinthians 10 verse 12 says, "For we dare not class ourselves or compare ourselves with those who commend themselves, but they measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise." So it is unwise to compare yourself with another person or to compare yourself with someone else's standard. It is unwise. It is foolishness to compare yourself with another person. It is foolishness to, try to meet up with someone else's standard. That is not the will of God for your life. We can also see Paul advising in Ephesians 5 verse 17 But this time around, it's not just advising, it's stating the solution to comparison. He said, do not be unwise, but understand what the will of the Lord is. So understanding what the will of the Lord is for your life personally is the solution to comparison. It is the solution to the foolishness of comparison. That is what will make you be able to redeem the time. Redeem the time so that you do not waste your time trying to shine another person's light. You redeem the time by understanding the will of God for your life specifically for you and acting accordingly. That is how you shine your light and do your good works, so that men may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. So the nose will be unwise to say, I want to be like the mouth. We each have our distinct graces, distinct callings, our distinct talents, distinct gifts, distinct personalities, your unique self. You have our unique functions, our unique dimensions, our unique identities. You are unique and you are distinct. That is why the world needs you, because nobody can be like you. You bring you to the table so that the world can benefit from you. So as the 7 trillion nerves need each other to be able to function effectively, that is the same with the 8 billion people on earth need each other to be able to make the world a better place, for us to be able to benefit each other and benefit the world at large. So your uniqueness and your distinctiveness is needed, because nobody can be like you. They may try to copy the works of your hands, and they may try to copy what you do, probably your profession or your craft. They may try to copy your craft, but they cannot do what you do the way you do it. In the sense that they cannot walk like you, they cannot talk like you, they cannot eat like you, they cannot chew food like you. Nobody can be like you. That is why you are needed. So stop comparing yourself to others. Ephesians 4 verse 7 says, but to each one of us grace was given according to the measure of Christ's gift. So we have our different graces, our distinct callings, our distinct gifts, and our distinct dimensions. 1 Corinthians 7 verse 7, Paul also says, I wish that all men were even as myself, but each one has his own gift from God, one in this manner and another in that. So this is Paul saying that he wishes everybody remains single and does not marry like him. But he acknowledges the fact that everybody are gifted differently. One person is gifted in this manner, another person is gifted in that. So we are different. We can never be the same. We can never be like each other. So I also believe that comparison stems from strife, from envy, from jealousy, and from covetousness. And strife plus envy equals carnality. We can see Paul talking to the Corinthian church that they are babes, they are spiritual babes, because they are carnal. They still have strife, they still have envy, they still have malice in their midst. So please let us put away envy and strife and jealousy and covetousness. It will not make us grow spiritually. We will remain spiritual babes. We will still remain carnal Christians. Let us put away all of that. Let us recognize the fact that we are a light. You are a light. I am a light. Individually, we are lights. So we are to shine our light. You are to shine your own light. I am to shine my own light. I am not to shine your own light. So I will not dim my light to shine your light. So stop trying to dim your light. Stop dimming your light to shine another person's light. Stop dimming your light to shine a light that you were not appointed or elected to shine. Focus on shining your own light, so that we may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. I understand that social media has made it much more difficult to not compare ourselves. I mean, you can look into people's lives from the luxury of your phone and from the comfort of your home. So the nose begins to say, I want to be like the mouth. I like the way the mouth is just eating and is just happy receiving food. And the mouth is saying, I want to be like the nose. I like the way the nose is receiving fresh air, no stress, no chewing, no energy, no stress. It's just living a soft life. So the nose begins to forget that the mouth requires high maintenance, that the mouth, if not brushed daily, will have a bad odor, that the mouth requires scaling and polishing, that the mouth requires dental care, that the mouth is high maintenance, and that the mouth is also susceptible to cough from the throat. The nose also forgets that the mouth can have toothache, or gum problems, cavities, issues due to lack of hygiene, and proper maintenance. And the mouth will then forget that the nose is susceptible to catarrh, that's runny nose, and sneezing, which can give headache. Nobody will come out to tell you what they are struggling with. That is what I'm just trying to tell you in essence. You will only see the flowers, the smiles, the laughter, the pictures, the happiness, the joy, and it just looks like they have their life figured out. They all have everything going in perfection, but you fail to realize that everybody has their struggles. So when you desire to be like a person, you also desire to have their struggles. Do you have the capacity to bear their struggles, to bear their pain, to fight their battles, to engage in their warfare? Can you? Were you designed to do so? You tend to forget that people only show you what they want you to see. They only show you what they want to show you. It's just like lovebirds now, or couples. You will take lovey-dovey pictures and videos. You will think that these people don't fight. Most perfect couple. Their PDA is entering your eye. You're like, oh, you won't begin to compare their relationship with your relationship. But you forget that when they are in a heated argument, when they are in crisis, when they are fighting, when there's a lot of drama, they forget to carry their camera or carry their phone to hit record, and post on social media. And even when they eventually now find grace to reconcile from their fighting and their crisis, or if sometimes they may not even reconcile, they just pretend to reconcile for the sake of content, for the sake of creating content for the audience, for their audience. So then you now begin to believe their truth, which is a lie. Because half truth, halfly represented truth is a lie. Because truth does not hide, truth does not cover. Truth is like this. Even though truth can be private, because truth is a costly pearl, so truth is private. Yeah. So then you begin to believe their lie, and you begin to compare your truth with their lie. You begin to compare your truth with a lie. So stop comparing yourself to another person. You are a light. You are an answer to a question of a generation. You are the solution to a problem that this world is looking for. You are an answer to the earth's crisis. The earth is waiting for your manifestation. Not just the earth, the entire creation is waiting for your manifestation. So the sun, the moon, the stars, the seas, the trees, the plants, all the animals, the fishes in the sea, they are waiting for your manifestation. Because when God sees a crisis, He sends the solution provider in heaven, and sends that person to earth in the form of a man. And that is why abortion is very, very bad. Like, it is a terrible sin, because you are aborting God's solution to a cry in a generation. You are aborting God's solution to a problem of the earth. You are aborting the answer to a question that a generation is asking. You think you are doing my body, my choice, my body, my rights. But what you are doing, that your selfishness, is affecting you, and it's also affecting the whole world. So like, what do you stand to then gain? What is your gain? You don't have gain, because you are aborting God's revelation and God's rescue to mankind. So God created you to live out an answer to a question of a generation. God created you to answer a particular question. So stop trying to answer a question that God did not create you to answer. Stop trying to answer another person's question. Stop trying to shine another person's light. Stop trying to live another person's life. Stop trying to fulfill another person's destiny and another person's purpose. So I want you to know that the peculiar circumstances and the peculiar experiences of your life, your pain, your trauma, your everything you've gone through has made you become you, who you are today. And no one has exactly experienced what you've experienced. That is what makes you different from every other person. Because no one has experienced what you've experienced. So your experience is what will birth purpose within you, and will then enable you to be able to answer a question of this generation. So your unique experiences has shaped you and cultured you to be your unique you. And it is only your unique you that can be able to fulfill your destiny and your purpose. No other you can fulfill destiny and purpose except your unique you. So I believe that a major reason why we compare ourselves and why we desire another person's life is from a place of hidden shame and nakedness. Hidden shame and nakedness in the sense that We feel naked and insecure when we see what is going on for them, what they are doing, how they are excelling. There's some kind of insecurity, some kind of nakedness. We feel like we need to cover ourselves. So we try to then do things how that person is doing it. And that is not the solution. That is how sin entered into the world, through comparison. Yes, through comparison. I know you are shocked. It's through comparison. When the serpent was talking to Eve, he was telling Eve that the God say you should not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He said so because he knows that when you eat of it, you will be as God. You will then be wise, knowing good and evil. So you will become like him. That is why he said you should not eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. He was tempting Eve. And Eve too was buying the idea that she then began to compare the offer of a better life to her current state. She started to compare the better option of life that the serpent was offering to her current state. She started to compare that, rather than being like this, I can actually be like God, knowing good and evil truly. Comparison. She started to compare what she stands to gain with her current state. Am I wrong? No, am I wrong? Talk now. And when they ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, sin entered into the world. And when sin entered into the world, and Adam and Eve saw that they were naked because they had already partaken of the tree of comparison, because it's good and evil. They've already partaken of the tree of comparison of good and evil. That is how they were able to now notice that they were naked. Then they started to try to cover their nakedness by trying to clothe themselves. They sewed clothes out of fig leaves and tried to clothe themselves, trying to cover their own nakedness. And that is how it is. Desiring someone else's life exposes your nakedness. So you try to cover your nakedness. So desiring someone else's life comes from a place of comparison. You compare their seemingly good to your seemingly evil. You now feel naked and insecure. Then you try to clothe yourself so that you can also have that seemingly good. So we begin to then look for how to cover our nakedness instead of us to look up to God to cover our nakedness for us. We already see this already even manifesting in the next generation, Cain and Abel. Cain's sacrifice was rejected, Abel's sacrifice was accepted. So Cain compared himself to Abel in the sense that he compared Abel's seemingly good to his own seemingly evil, and he started to feel naked and started to feel insecure. Then he started to think to himself, I need to cover my nakedness. Can you see? Instead of him to look up to God to cover his nakedness, he started to look to himself to cover his own nakedness. Then he decided to clear the person that is exposing his nakedness, to clear him out of the way, to kill Abel. Instead of him to look up to God, the tree of life, he started to partake of the tree of the comparison of good and evil. Instead of him to choose life over death. Instead of him to heed to God's warning of sin lieth at your door and his desire is for you. Instead of him to heed to God's advice of what you should rule over it. Instead of him to heed to God's correction of why are you angry? If you did well, would you not be accepted? So he rejected God's warning, God's advice, and God's correction. That was God's attempt to cover his nakedness. So he rejected God and decided to look to himself to bring up a solution to cover his nakedness. And he decided to kill Abel and brought curses upon himself. He decided to clear Abel because Abel seemingly good revealed his seemingly evil and exposed his nakedness. Once you choose the tree of comparison of good and evil, you bring curses upon yourself because you are not designed to cover your own nakedness. It is not your responsibility. It has never been your responsibility to cover your nakedness. It is not your duty. That was the mistake of Adam and Eve after they sinned. Instead of them to present themselves to God that, Lord, we are naked, clothe us, cover our nakedness, they looked to themselves and came up with a shabby and an inadequate solution, which is sewing fig leaves as clothing. But God, who is a good father, intervened and sewed a good clothing for them with animal skin. You can never do God's responsibility better than God. You can never be able to perform God's responsibility better than God will perform it. So it is not our responsibility to clothe and cover our nakedness. So when you see your nakedness being revealed due to someone's seemingly good, kindly go to God. Do not try to fix it yourself, because it is either you come up with a shabby and an inadequate solution which just gives you a temporary feeling of satisfaction and cannot last, or you end up murdering. You decide to murder the person with the seemingly good. So you could either murder the person with words or with actions. With words in the sense that due to envy, strife, jealousy, covetousness, you begin to gossip. So that is where gossiping comes in. Backstabbing, front stabbing. Yeah, front stabbing, betrayal, sowing seeds of discord, becoming assistant Satan, basically, because you want to destroy that person's seemingly good. You want to destroy that person's reputation, which is exposing your nakedness. So you want to clear that person out of the way so that your nakedness will no longer be exposed. So you try to kill another person's good because you want to cover your nakedness. We also see this concept with Joseph and his brothers. Joseph's brothers saw that Joseph was loved, that he was loved by their father more than them. They also saw that he had dreams of a great future that seemed like he had a greater future than them. They compared Joseph's seemingly good to their seemingly evil, and it exposed their nakedness. They started to feel naked, they started to feel insecure. Instead of them to go to God to cover their nakedness, I mean, they would go to meet God to ask God, like, God, what of me? Give me my own dreams too, or give me a better future, to a greater future too, which would actually cover their nakedness. They decided to look within themselves and craft a solution, which made them begin to consider killing Joseph, clearing him out of the way. If not for God's intervention, they would have killed Joseph. But they eventually decided to sell him into slavery so that they can clear him out of the way, so that it can stop exposing their nakedness. Comparison also evokes covetousness. I know I said that comparison stems from covetousness. Yes, it stems from it. So like covetousness is also the source, but at the same time it's also the outcome. So like because of covetousness, you compare. And because you compare, you become covetous of another person's good, another person's seemingly good. Covetousness will make you begin to desire another person's life. You begin to desire another person's things. You can see this in King Ahab, who saw Naboth's vineyard, who saw that his vineyard was flourishing, was blossoming. And I'm sure he must have compared Naboth's vineyard to his own vineyard. He must have compared Naboth's seemingly good to his own seemingly evil. Then he desired to have Naboth's vineyard to cover his own nakedness. Then he decided to try to buy it from Naboth. But Naboth, knowing the worth and the value of the vineyard, refused to sell it to King Ahab. Then King Ahab looked for other alternatives, and he resorted to kill Naboth and claim his vineyard so that he will be able to then cover his nakedness. So that is what happens. Instead of you to stay in your own lane, you begin to covet. Due to comparison, you begin to covet other people's things. You begin to covet other people's lives. You can also see this in King David. David, who was on the housetop, saw another man's wife. And I'm sure he must have definitely compared Uriah's wife to his wife at home. For him to even declare that Uriah's wife was very beautiful to behold. So that means his wife was beautiful. But Uriah's wife was very beautiful. Because there cannot be a very beautiful if there was not already a beautiful. He compared his seemingly evil to Uriah's seemingly good. He felt like he needed to have it to be able to cover his nakedness. So he slept with Uriah's wife, felt more naked, obviously. In an attempt to cover his nakedness, he tried to trick Uriah to go home to sleep with his wife. But Uriah, who is a true warrior of the armies of Israel, indeed, in action and in truth and in spirit, used to go home. It was like, how can I go home when war is going on, when there is battle? David considered other alternatives and resorted to kill Uriah. After killing Uriah, he married Uriah's wife so that he can cover his nakedness. Because once you partake of the tree of comparison of good and evil, your nakedness is exposed. It is left to you or left for you to then go to God to cover it for you, or you do things in your own way, which will either make you provide a shabby, inadequate solution or lead you to murder the person with the seemingly good. You can see how comparison has led people to kill other people. How Cain killed Abel, how King Ahab killed Naboth, how King David killed Uriah, because of comparison. So comparison is very destructive. Once you see it trying to rear its ugly head, kill it. Kill it in the name of Jesus and with the power in the word of God. Kill it. Don't let it become a mighty tree. Then you are looking for how to uproot it. Don't give yourself work to do. Kill it. You can see how that causes how Cain was cursed. David was also cursed. that the sword shall never depart from his household. Cain, you shall be a fugitive and a vagabond. Ahab, you will be killed in the same manner or something like that. Causes. Comparison is destructive because from comparison, you just keep going and keep going. Before you know it, the person will become a murderer. This also goes the other way around. Some people, after comparing themselves, become like the proud Pharisee. When they were praying in temple, the proud Pharisee was like, I thank God that I'm not like this sinful tax collector. I am this, I am righteous, I am this. So some people, after comparing themselves, after partaking of the tree of comparison of good and evil, their seemingly good makes them to begin to then raise their shoulder. They will put on the garment and the cloak of pride. They feed off of people's nakedness. They feed off of people's insecurities, people's weaknesses, people's past, people's pain, people's trauma, people's mistakes. Then all of a sudden they begin to feel superior. They begin to feel proud. They begin to feel better than others because their seemingly good exposes the nakedness of other people's seemingly evil. That is why Paul in Galatians 6 verse 3 to 5 said, For if anyone thinks himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. But let each one examine his own work, and then he will have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another. For each one shall bear his own load. Carry your own load on your head. Examine your own work. Scrutinize yourself. Self-reflect. Try your own heart. Focus on your own behavior. Test your own actions. Scrutinize yourself without comparing yourself to others. Focus on your own personal achievements without comparing your achievement to other people's achievements. Stay in your own lane. Examine your works according to the standard, which is the word of God. Do not examine your works based on another person's life. Do not measure yourself according to another person's life, because that person's life is not the standard. That person's life is not the measuring stick to know whether you are doing well or not. God's word is the standard. God's word is the measuring stick. We also see Paul saying in 1 Corinthians 4, verse 6 to 8, he says, Now these things, brethren, I have figuratively transferred to myself and Apollos for your sakes, that you may learn in us not to think beyond what is written, that none of you may be puffed up on behalf of one against the other. For who makes you differ from another? What do you have that you did not receive? Now, if you did indeed receive it, why do you boast as if you had not received it? There is nothing that you have that you did not receive. Be humble. Do not be proud like the proud Pharisee. Do not be proud like Joseph, who started to feel superior to his brothers because he was having dreams that they were bowing down to him. Do not begin to feel better than your brothers because you feel like your father loves you more. Do not be like Joseph. And that is why God had to humble Joseph through the slavery and the prison experience, so that he would be able to be humble enough to be able to carry out his assignment of, saving the 12 tribes of Israel from famine. If God did not humble Joseph, Joseph would have been a proud governor. When his brothers came to buy food from him, he would have made mockery of them, laughed at them, said, Shebi, I told you that you people will bow down before me. Is that not what has happened now? He may have even shown them shaggy and revenged and thrown all of them into prison, locked them up. But God had worked on Joseph. He had turned from being a proud person to becoming humble. Paul also advises in Romans 12 verse 3, For I say through the grace given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, as God has dealt to each one a measure of faith. So do not think highly of yourself. Do not inflate yourself or regard yourself to be superior, to be better than others, because your seemingly good is exposing their seemingly evil. Think of yourself soberly and humbly, because there is nothing that you have that you did not receive. Be humble. So that will be it for this video. Hope you learned something. I believe you learned something. I want you to share your comments, or also like the video, give it a thumbs up so that the algorithm can push it to people that need to see the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. I mean, you watched to this point of this video and you're not subscribed. I will definitely catch you in the next video.